Hello everyone, welcome to another interesting video on GST. In this video, we are going to discuss about the newly launched functionality, that is Invoice Management System on the GST Common Portal. This video is based on the frequently asked questions which are issued by the GSTN. Based on those frequently asked questions, we will try to understand how this functionality is going to change the landscape of availment of input tax credit in Form GSTR 3B. Friends, presently we are availing input tax credit by reconciling the invoices as available in the purchase register with the GSTR 2B, and only single figure we are reporting in GSTR 3B. Now, because of reporting of this single figure, there are chances that taxpayer is having liberty to report the figure in table 4A according to his convenience. But this may lead to reporting the incorrect information in Form GSTR 3B as far as table 4 is concerned. Now, another drawback of this system is that government is not getting the invoice-wise information of input tax credit availed by the taxpayer. So, in order to avoid these difficulties, government has come up with this invoice management system, where taxpayer is required to take the action on the invoices or documents uploaded by the supplier in his GSTR 1. So, supplier will upload the invoices in GSTR 1, which will be auto-populated in GSTR 2B of the recipient, and recipient is expected to take the action on those records which are uploaded by the supplier on the GST Common Portal in his Form GSTR 1. Presently, we are reconciling those details which are available in GSTR 2B with the details of purchase register or with the details of books of accounts, and we are availing credit to the extent of match record in Form GSTR 3B. In future, from next month, you required to take the action on those invoices. Then those invoices will flow to your GSTR 2B and subsequently in GSTR 3B. So, this is going to change the manner of availment of credit in future. Though this functionality presently is optional for the taxpayer, but maybe down the line in future, government will make this functionality compulsory for all the taxpayer in order to avail the correct input tax credit and in order to get the invoice-wise information of ITC availed by the taxpayer. So, this is how invoice management system will work in future. Please remember, this is the facility which is optional, where recipient who is receiving the supply is expected to take the three types of action. Either he should accept the invoice, he should keep those invoices on pending, or he can reject the invoice. Not only invoice, but any document, that is invoice, debit note or credit. So, recipient is expected to take this action on the IMS portal, and this information will flow from the GSTR 1 of the GSTR 1 which is filed by the supplier. So, GSTR 1 filed by the supplier will become the source document for taking action in IMS portal. Now, when this functionality, how I can access this functionality, how I can go to the IMS portal? Simply, you require to log in onto the GST portal, go to the services tab, and you will find their invoice management system dashboard option. Click on that dashboard. You will redirect it to that dashboard, where you will get the GSTN wise information of the supplier who have supplied to you, and based on that information, you can take the action of, you can accept those records, you can reject those records, or you can keep those records for the action in your future tax period. Now, when this functionality is going to be available for the taxpayer, this is another important question which we need to discuss. So, this facility is already live. If you go to GST portal from 14th October 2024, this functionality is available on the GST portal. But invoices are not yet there on the IMS portal. So invoices are not flowing to the IMS portal, and government has clarified via the press release dated 14th October 2024 that invoices will flow from the next tax period. That is, this is tax period, this is September tax period. So invoices will flow to invoice management system from the next month, that is from the tax period of October 2024. So maybe after 14th November you will find the invoices on in this IMS portal for the action. Now, what all records will be available in IMS for taking an action? As I mentioned, what is the source document for the IMS? For the IMS, source document is GSTR1. So whatever document supplier is uploading in his GSTR1 against your GSTIN number will be auto-populated in IMS portal. So GSTR1, or if supplier is amending his GSTR1, then GSTR1A will be taken, or in case of quarterly filers, invoice furnishing facility will be the source document for the auto-population of document in invoice management system. So this will be the source document. So all the documents which are available in GSTR1 will be auto-populated into the IMS facility. However, there are certain documents or there are certain categories of document which will not flow in the IMS portal, that will directly flow to your GSTR to be. कौन से documents है? पहला है documents flowing from the following forms. GSTR5. So person who is filing GSTR5, that is non-resident taxpayer, their invoices will not flow to the invoice management system. GSTR6, input service distributor. These invoices will also not flow to the invoice management system. They will directly go to your GSTR2B. ISGate documents, documents of import, right? Bill of entry. That also will not form the part of your IMS portal. RCM records. So if you are supposed to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism on any supplies, then those supplies will also not become the part of your invoice management system. Now, sometimes ITC is ineligible due to place of supply rules, or maybe due to section 16(4), which is time limit. So in that case also, those credit will not auto-populate in your IMS, on your IMS portal. And the last, document where ITC is to be reversed on account of Rule 37A. Rule 37A speaks about non-payment of tax by the supplier within the prescribed time period. Okay, in that case you require to reverse your input tax credit under Rule 37A. So in case where supplier has not filed GSTR3B, then those records will be available in your GSTR3B under Rule 37A. So those records you require to reverse that credit in your GSTR3B, but these details will not form the part of your invoice management system. So once again we will see कौन से records है. First, GSTR5, which is filed by the non-resident taxpayer. GSTR6, input service distributor. ISGate documents, that is documents related to the import. RCM records, documents where ITC is ineligible due to place of supply rules or because of time limit which is specified under section 16(4). And last, documents where ITC requires to be reversed on account of Rule 37. All these 5 types of documents will not auto-populate on your IMS portal. They will be directly there in your GSTR2B. They will not be there in your IMS portal. Try to understand the in existing case, supplier was filing GSTR1 by 11th. By 13th, system was generating GSTR2B, which was final GSTR2B. There was no change in GSTR2B. And based on that GSTR2B, we used to reconcile our records, our books of accounts with the GSTR2B, and only to the extent of match credit, we were taking the credit in GSTR3B. Now this is going to change. after filing of GSTR1 or even before filing of GSTR1, if any supplier is uploading any invoice in his GSTR1, then that will be available for taking action in your IMS portal. Right? Now, see, GSTR2B, based on this action of accept, reject or pending, GST portal will generate the draft GSTR2B on 13th. So earlier that GSTR2B was final GSTR2B, but now that GSTR2B is draft GSTR2B. And you can make the correction in that GSTR2B till filing of your GSTR3B. So this is the change. So your GSTR2B is no longer static. It will be static only after filing of GSTR3B. Till that you can make the changes. You can accept invoice, you can reject invoice, you can keep invoices pending in the IMS portal, and based on that action, portal will generate your GSTR2B. So this particular aspect we should remember. This will change the overall landscape of availment of ITC. Now, what are the action that recipient can take on an IMS portal? This is very important. What kind of actions? There are three actions. Either you will accept the record, you will reject the record, or you will keep those records pending for future action. Please note that no action is the default action on at the when GSTR2B will be generated on the portal. All the invoices, all the documents will be under the category of no action. And if you are not taking any action, that is accept, reject, pending, portal will assume that you have accepted this record. Right? So no action will be the default action. Accept means accepting the record. Reject means rejecting the record. And pending means you are keeping those records for taking action in future. Let's understand this. When you are accepting, what will happen to the document on which taxpayer has taken an action on the IMS portal? What will happen? If I am accepting the document, what will happen? So when you are accepting the document, it will become the part of ITC available in your GSTR2B. We have seen that GSTR2B presently is bifurcated into two parts, ITC available and ITC not available. So ITC available contains the details of all the documents on which ITC is eligible to the taxpayer, and ITC not available, that is the second tab, where you will find the details of ITC which is not available either on account of place of supply or on account of section 16 subsection 4, that is time limit. In future, based on this action, one more tab will be added to the GSTR2B, which will be called as a ITC rejected. So now total 3 tabs will be there. First will be ITC available, second ITC not available, and third will be ITC rejected. So if you are accepting any record, it will go to your ITC available in GSTR2B. If you are rejecting any ITC, then it will go to the tab of ITC rejected. See, when you are accepting the record, it will go to ITC available tab. When you are rejecting any ITC, it will go to ITC rejected tab. Now, if you are keeping any record for future action, you are keeping any record for pending, that record will not form the part of your form GSTR2B. And this is the important change as far as present GSTR2B is concerned, and GSTR2B which is to be generated after using the IMS functionality. See, presently GSTR2B includes the pending records also, but in future GSTR2B includes only details of ITC available and ITC rejected. Invoices which you are keeping, which are pending, will be the part of IMS but will not be the part of your GSTR2B. So GSTR2B will include only those records which are accepted or rejected by the taxpayer. Now those accepted record will again flow to your GSTR 3B directly. So say in case of all other ITC, only information which is accepted by the taxpayer will be there in table 4A5. Correct? Now if you are not taking any action, portal will assume that you are accepting. So no action records with no action status will be deemed accepted at the time of GSTR 2B generation. So accept means accepting the record, reject means rejecting the record, pending means you are keeping those records for pending for future action, and no action, if you are not taking any of these three action, in that case portal will assume that you are accepting the record, and accordingly details will be details of those invoices will flow to your invoice management portal and subsequently to your GSTR 3B. Now see, as of now you can edit the details of GSTR 3B, but in future we may see that department will freeze this manual filing and only details will be auto populated through this IMS portal, right? So these are the three actions which taxpayer is expected to take in the invoice management system. What will happen to the accepted and rejected records? So see, as I mentioned, first supplier will file the GSTR 1. Those details will be available to the recipient for taking action in his invoice management system dashboard. So recipient is expected to take three types of action. Either he will accept the record, or he will reject the record, or he will keep those records pending for future action. So what will happen after acceptance and rejection of any particular record? After acceptance or rejecting any record on the IMS portal, after filing GSTR 3B, IMS portal will remove those records from the IMS portal. Which records? Records which are accepted or rejected by the supplier, by the recipient. So whatever invoices I have accepted or whatever invoices I have rejected, those accepted and rejected invoices will be taken out from the IMS portal. So IMS portal, after filing GSTR 3B, will have only the details of pending credit, and pending credit will not flown to your GSTR 2B. It will be there in IMS portal only for future action. Now whenever in future you will accept those pending records, they will be flow to your GSTR 2B and subsequently in GSTR 3B. So all the accepted or rejected records belonging to the particular GSTR 2B period will be removed from the IMS on filing GSTR 3B for the particular period. And only pending records and the invoices records belonging to the future tax period will remain in the IMS portal. Now if you are not taking any action, portal will assume that you are accepting this record, and accordingly those records will be auto populated in your GSTR 2B and subsequently in GSTR 3B. Now as far as these pending records are concerned, this will be there on the IMS portal till you take the action or till the cutoff date of GSTR 2B. So all the filed and accepted, no action will be treated as the deemed accepted, or rejected records will be considered for GSTR 2B generation as per the cutoff date of GSTR 2B. I mentioned earlier, presently on 13th, system is generating GSTR 2B based on the return filed by the supplier, and on 14th it is available to the recipient. But that is final GSTR 2B. Now this is going to change. in future system will remain same. Taxpayer will file their supplier will file their GSTR 1. Those details will be auto populated in GSTR 3B, GSTR 2B. But that GSTR 2B will be considered as the draft GSTR 2B. That will not be considered as the final GSTR 2B. And based on the action taken by the recipient, that is either recipient will accept the record, recipient will reject the record, or recipient will keep records for the action, keep record pending for the future action. Based on that, GSTR 2B will be generated by the system. And you can make the changes in your GSTR 2B. You can change the action taken on any particular record. Latest action will override the earlier action. But you can take this action till filing of GSTR 3B. Once you file the GSTR 3B, your GSTR 2B will get freezed, and then you cannot make any changes in your GSTR 2B. Right? So all the accepted or deemed accepted records and rejected records will be shown in GSTR 2B. Rejected records are only for the purpose of view. You cannot make any changes, and that will also not flow to your GSTR 3B. So only accepted record will flow to GSTR 2B. Both accepted and rejected records will flow to GSTR 2B, but only accepted records will flow to your GSTR 3B. And as I mentioned, you can take this action till filing GSTR 3B. Only thing which you require to remember here is that after every action, if you are taking any action, you require to recompute the GSTR 2B. Because say on 14th, whenever system will generate the draft GSTR 2B, and if you have not taken any action, then that GSTR 2B system will understand, or system will assume that all the invoices are accepted to you. So after 14th, if you are rejecting any invoice, or if you are keeping any invoice pending for the future action, in that case you require to recompute the GSTR 2B. And this is something new which we should remember, because earlier the concept was like that, if on 14th your GSTR 2B is freezed, you cannot make changes in your GSTR 2B. But because of this recomputation facility, you can recompute your GSTR 2B, and in that case only accepted and rejected record will flow to your GSTR 2B, and only accepted records will flow to your GSTR 3B. See, GSTR 2B will have both the records. It will have accepted as well as rejected records, right? But GSTR 3B will have only the accepted records by the recipient. Now, how many times I can recompute my GSTR 2B? There is no restriction. Till filing of GSTR 3B, number of time you can regenerate your GSTR 2B. So before filing GSTR 3B, there is no restriction on number of times in recomputation of your GSTR 2B. It is mandatory, because before filing GSTR 2B, you have draft GSTR 2B, and if you are taking any action in your IMS portal, then you require to recompute your GSTR 2B. And once you file the GSTR 3B, your GSTR 2B will get freezed, and in that case you cannot make any changes. In case of quarterly filers, GSTR 2B will be generated quarterly, not the monthly, right? Now, whether there are any records on which I cannot take the pending action. So that has been clarified by the Common Portal, that in these 4 cases you cannot keep those documents pending for future action. कौन से डॉक्यूमेंट है? ओरिजिनल क्रेडिट नोट. In that case, you cannot mark credit note or you cannot mark the action as the pending for future action. So either you require to accept this record or you require to reject this record. You cannot keep this record pending for the future action. कौन से है? First is original credit note. Second, upward amendment in the credit note. Upward amendment in the credit note. The value has been increased from say 100 to 200 rupees. In that case also you cannot keep those credit notes pending. Downward amendment in the credit note. So earlier it was 100 rupees, now it is 50 rupees. In that case also you cannot keep those records pending for future action. Downward amendment of invoice or debit note where original invoice or debit note was accepted by him and respective GSTR 3B has also been filed. If there is downward amendment, means invoice issued by the supplier say for rupees 100 and now he has amended that invoice to rupees 80. In that case also I cannot keep those records pending for future action. So in short, original credit note, any upward or downward amendment in credit note or downward amendment on invoice or debit note, these four documents, or rather these four documents I cannot keep pending for the future action. This is very important. Can I take action multiple times on any document? As I mentioned earlier, till filing GSTR 3B, number of times you can change the action and the latest action will be replaced on the existing action. So multiple times you can take the action on the invoice or record before filing GSTR 3B, right? And portal will consider the latest action and you can take the action multiple times till filing of form GSTR 3B. Once form GSTR 3B is filed, your 2B is freezed. Then you cannot take any action on the invoices which are there on the invoice management portal. What happened to original tax invoice debit note if same record is amended by the supplier? Now what will happen? If supplier is changing original invoice or debit note, there are two scenarios. First scenario is that supplier is amending invoice or debit note in two different GSTR 2B period. In that case, what action you have taken on the original tax invoice is very important. If you have accepted original tax invoice, then only you can accept the amended record. In other words, if you want to take the action on the amended record, you require to take first action on the original record, right? So in case of amendment in any record, that is in invoice or debit note, recipient is allowed to take action only when he is taking any action on the original record. Now another scenario, second scenario. In second scenario, say both original and amended record, invoice or debit note is appearing in your in the same GSTR 2B. In that case, you can directly take the action on the amended record. There is no need to take the action on original record. So if two different GSTR 2Bs are involved, or if two different GSTR 2B periods are involved, action on original invoice or original record is mandatory before taking any action on the amended record. If original and amended record is available within the same GSTR 2B, within the same GSTR 2B period, in that case you can directly take action on the amended record. Now what will happen to original credit note if the same is amended by the supplier? If the original and amended credit note both are available in the IMS whether it belongs to two different GSTR 2B period or the same GSTR 2B, the action taken on the amended credit note will prevail over the action taken on the original. This is exactly different than what we have seen in case of invoice or debit note. In case of credit note uploaded by the supplier, what action you have taken on the original credit note doesn't matter. Action on amended credit note will prevail over the action taken on the original credit note. So if you have accepted the amended credit note, accordingly GSTR 2B will be generated and accordingly credit will be flow to your GSTR 3B. What if I have taken an action on document in saved status, but the same is edited or changed by the supplier before filing his GSTR 1? This is another question, very important. Now see, IMS functionality is not like GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B is available after 14th, but IMS facility is available before 14th also. So once any invoice is uploaded by the supplier on the GST Common Portal, it will be available to the recipient for the action. So either I will accept, I will reject, or I will keep that record pending for the future action. But it may happen that details which are uploaded by the supplier are not correct, and subsequently at the time of filing of GSTR 1, supplier realized that I have furnished the wrong details on in GSTR 1 or uploaded in GSTR 1. So he can change those details. In that case, what will happen? The replaced data will be valid for the purpose of action. So even if I have taken the action, portal will reverse that action and portal will replace amended record over the original record. And after replacement, again that record is available for me, for the recipient, for taking any action. So your action will be reset and you require to take the new action on that amended record or on that edited record, right? If the document is deleted, at the time of filing GSTR 1, then those documents will be also deleted from your invoice management system. So दो aspect है. पहला aspect है supplier is editing the details in GSTR 1. In that case, if you have taken the action, system will reverse that action and system will replace original invoice with the revised invoice, with the revised details or changed details. And in that case, you require to take the fresh action on those changed details. If supplier is deleting any document from the GSTR 1, in that case, that details, that document will be also deleted from the IMS portal. Will reverse charge document received from unregistered supplier also form the part of IMS? No. In that case, it will not become the part of IMS portal. RCM invoices are not the part of IMS portal, but will continue to be the part of GSTR 2B as it is being reflected today. So RCM documents where recipient is liable for the payment of tax under reverse charge mechanism, in that case, those documents will not flow to your IMS portal. They will directly go to your GSTR 2B. What will happen to documents in IMS on filing of GSTR 3B by the recipient? So once you file the GSTR 3B, we have already discussed this issue. Once you have filed GSTR 3B, your GSTR 2B will be freezed. So all the accepted and rejected records will be deleted from your IMS portal and will flow to your GSTR 2B and in your GSTR 3B. So filing of GSTR 3B after filing of GSTR 3B, IMS portal will automatically delete accepted and rejected record from the IMS functionality, right? Now in case of pending documents, it will remain there in IMS portal till 30th November of next year, right? That is till the time period as allowed under section 16(4). So you are eligible to take the action till 30th November of the next year, right? Once this time limit of 30th November as prescribed under section 16(4) crossed, those invoices will be removed from the invoice management system. System will automatically remove those invoices from the pending list, right? So pending documents will be there in IMS portal till 30th November of the next year, and after 30th November of next year, system will automatically delete those records from the IMS portal. Now sometime this is the common scenario where supplier, RCM supplier wrongly select the FCM flag. That is, when he is uploading his GSTR 1, instead of marking any particular invoice under reverse charge mechanism, he marks that invoice under the forward charge mechanism. So that invoice will flow to your IMS portal for taking action. Now at that time you may reject that record because that is not subject to forward charge mechanism, right? Now subsequently that supplier is changing that flag from forward charge mechanism to reverse charge mechanism. He is saying yes to that flag, that my invoice is subject to reverse charge mechanism. In that case, that invoice will be deleted from the invoice management portal. And if you have already availed the credit on such invoice, then you are required to reverse that credit. Okay. So supplier is allowed to amend that flag where he has earlier said no, this invoice is not subject to reverse charge mechanism. He can say yes, and after making that change, that invoice will be taken out from the IMS portal, right? Now similar thing might happen in case of place of supply also. So my place of supply is Maharashtra, but I am reporting Gujarat. Now in that case, supplier can amend place of supply subject to the time limit given under the GST law, which is 30th November. So till 30th November, if supplier has reported wrong place of supply in GSTR 1, in that case he can amend that place of supply. And after amendment, if earlier say that credit was flow to GSTR 2B or GSTR 3B as non-eligible credit because of place of supply, then after this amendment, that credit will be restated to the IMS portal as the eligible credit. And if earlier it was flown as the eligible credit, but after amendment now it is ineligible credit, in that case supplier recipient required to reverse that ineligible credit in table 4B1, that is under the permanent reversal. What will happen if the recipient reject the original credit notes or upward amended credit note? Now we have seen that original credit note or any upward or downward movement in the credit note, recipient cannot keep this record pending for the future action. So either he will have to accept the record or he will have to reject the record. Now if recipient is rejecting this record, in that case what will happen? In that case, the liability will be added in the GSTR 3B of the subsequent month. So if the recipient is rejecting the credit note, and furnish the GSTR 3B, then corresponding liability will be added to the supplier's liability in GSTR 3B of the subsequent period. So if I am rejecting any credit note, in that case, to that extent, liability of my supplier will increase. So in case of rejection of credit note, liability of supplier to that extent will increase, provided that I have filed the GSTR 3B, right? So these are all the common questions which were issued by the GST Common Portal, and based on which this whole presentation was there. So definitely this is going to change the landscape of availment of input tax credit in future. How this is going to be helpful for the taxpayer, that time will answer, but definitely from availment of correct ITC, this functionality is very much important, and all the taxpayer must understand or must get themselves conversant with this new functionality, because maybe for initial few months this will be the optional facility, but government may make this functionality compulsory for all the taxpayer, and that is why understanding this functionality is very important, and that is what the intention of this presentation was there, because we must be well conversant with the functionality of portal. Law is important, but functionality of portal is also important. Whether this functionality is lawful or not, that is another matter, because there is no governing provision as of now which governs this IMS facility, right? But may be in future, because in case of GSTR 2B also, if you remember, GSTR 2B was launched by the portal somewhere in January 2021, but the governing provision which that is section 16(2)AA was introduced by the government with effect from 1st January 2022. That is almost after 1 year. So as of now, the planning is that make the taxpayer conversant with the system and then make the changes in the law. And that is why understanding this functionality is very much important as far as correct availment of input tax credit is concerned. So with this, I take the pause. Thank you very much for your patientful listening. See you again on the next informative video. Thank you very much.